Hello and welcome to a special program on the performing arts to mark Teachers' Day. In the past, the traditional relationship between the teacher and the pupil in this field was known as the Guru Shishya Parampara, where the teacher was godlike and the pupils the devotees. The Guru was often didactic and dictatorial, while the Shishyas on their part were submissive and obedient and surrendered totally to the whims of the teacher. While the Guru Shishya Parampara still survives in the arts, the relationship between the teacher and the student has undergone a dramatic change. How has this change impacted this relationship? And has it changed the notion of learning that came with the traditional bond? We journey to the workspace of a highly respected and thoroughly modern Kathak Guru, Shovana Narayan, to investigate.
First of all, when I'm thinking or when we are talking about this term, Guru Shishya Parampara, we have to understand what does it mean. In times of yore, what we had read about, perhaps during Dronacharya's time and others, that the Shishya went and stayed with the Guru and along with learning the technicalities, also imbibed the spirit and ethos of the art form. Now today, or even when I was growing up, we were not living with our gurus, but we spent a lot of time and we were imbibing that same spirit and ethos along with the technicalities. And today I don't think it's any different. While they are imbibing the technical skills, etc., of what the Tayari Yang is and what the Abhinay Yang and how to approach, they are also learning and imbibing unconsciously the intangibles of the entire aspect, all aspects of Kathak, as to how you approach a movement, how do you approach a choreography, or how you approach even, how do you feel for a piece, how do you feel for a movement, how do you feel for a text or even one term. So this entire spirit and ethos which goes beyond just imparting of technicalities, I think that is really the essence of Guru Shishya Parampara. And I see that, and along with that, it is also a way of life, a way of thinking, a way of conducting yourself, a way of, and through that whole process, you also unconsciously imbibe Indian philosophy, a whole gamut of development and evolution of Indian literature. It is a complete wholesome education which goes on along with this traditional imparting of skills, of technicalities and skills and knowledge. Today a guru is there, the pedestal is there of the guru, but at the same time a guru is a friend. In olden days you couldn't question the guru, but today, and I encourage it, I encourage them to question. I encourage them to think. There was a period in our growing up years when you had to take everything for granted. But if I really look into our ancient texts and the kind of a Guru Shishya Parampara, in that ancient text, in the Upanishads and others, in the Purans, the student was advised, exhorted to question, to then think about it, and not only to accept. It was just not a one-way flow, it had to be a two-way flow. So that was the essence in our ancient texts of a good Guru-Shishya relationship. And therefore, it automatically meant that there was a give and take between the Guru and the Shishya, which today has come back in a different garb, that the gurus are friends, so the child is able or the student is able to question, and not get inhibited in asking as to why is a movement like this, why should I do, why can't I do this, and why should I do this. And so it also opens up larger horizons even as far as the Guru is concerned. I think it makes us grow as teachers because it makes you think. And if it had been olden time, they would have said, no, you're not supposed to question, that is so, so do it. It made them think. It made them understand. So when they were doing the movement, they were doing it with a greater understanding and not mechanically. So I think that has changed, as you said, and I think to my mind, as a teacher, as a guru, I think for the better, because it makes me also evolve and develop further. Every era is accompanied by a change. Today's girls, so we came out during our time, we were the earlier ones to come out from good families, educated, we were educated background, etc., into dance as a professional. So which was completely new at that time. But today this is accepted. But then there is much more. They want to pursue careers parallel, which is legitimate, and I accept it. And so the question is that in spite of all this, you have some who just want to do it, in spite of the fact that they are extremely educated. They've got their LLB degrees and masters in economics from X university abroad and Y university, yet they come back and they say, I just want to pursue dance. What is important is that there is that seed that is growing, that plant which you have weathered over there, which you have nurtured, which you have planted, and it's growing inside. That is urging them that, okay, it's somebody get back to dance. And many of them have come back to dance after completing whatever their lives may have taken, wherever, and they've come back. And I accept it because what is important is not only to become a professional dancer, is to be a good rasika. And the world of classical music and dance also helps you largely to also maintain a good inner balance. And you'll probably find that a lot of classical artists, majority of them, may not be materially, we have the material wealth that is sometimes you see in popular culture and popular arts. However, there is a certain peace of mind within them. देखिए जब वो कर रहे हैं, एक सुर लगता है, एक टुकड़ा लगता है, और उसमें जो वाहवाही और अंदर के आनंद होते, they are content with that. So that is more of a meditation. That's more of a devotion, and I think that is what is equally important as important as the fact that there are stage performers. In earlier times, there were many gurus who were not willing to share their traditional things. They kept on saying either they wanted to only pass it on to their own family member and not to the Shagirds who were not direct descent. But what happened that maybe that own family member may not be as, you know, that crucible was not able to take in so much as the other Shagird would have done. So many things have been lost. So there was a certain holding back you heard stories. I personally have heard some very old students saying, हम तो ज़िंदगी भर उनके घर के बर्तन मांजते रह गए और गाली खाते रहे लेकिन कुछ मिला नहीं। मुझसे सब्जी पकड़वाया, ये करवाया, वो करवाया, लेकिन कुछ मिला नहीं। So you did have a guru taking advantage of the Shishya's devotion and getting everything done and treating him rather badly, maybe as a servant or maybe worse than a servant, and not giving that and some of them also were violent also. There was violence, you cannot say that there was no violence. I was lucky enough to get a guru who gave. Birju Maharaji gave. So whereas, you know, you heard stories at the same time of many other gurus who held on, कि ये नहीं है, ये पात्र नहीं, this and that, and so, and many old things went. I would say that the more you share, you learn. And today I find that the present age gurus, all of them, I would say majority of them, not all, but majority of them, are the ones who are giving more. Even from the so-called traditional Gharanedar families are giving much more to the disciples, not only just keeping it for the members of their own family, but they are sharing it with disciples, with students who are not from their own family members. So that I think is a big change, and it's a healthy change. But what is equally important is that the disciples have to learn to appreciate that you are receiving it. There was a time when we were hungering to receive it, and so whatever little you got, wow, you know, you sort of valued it. Today you're getting it a bit too easily. There are disciples who value it and understand it, but of course there are many who, when you get it too easily, you don't value it. Those days there was an autocracy reigning, whether it was in the Guru Shishya Parampara or even at home between parents and children. So, but today that is no longer there, because times have changed, things are different, environment is different, and we have to move with times. I did face a lot of opposition from both career, the civil service career as well as the dance career, because the gurus thought that here I was just playing around with dance and I was just, you know, sort of wasting my time away by even doing civil service, and that I was never serious about dance, and though I was known as a very eminent, serious young dancer at that time. Whereas in the world of civil service, they thought, "Arey, dancer hai, what will she, you know, how serious is she as a civil?" So, you know, I had, and since I was the one and only example at that time, so I think the scrutiny on me, while okay, people lauded it, but then I think the scrutiny was greater. Then I also did the unexpected thing of marrying a foreigner who was his country's ambassador, and then again having a long distance marriage. So वो जैसे कहते हैं ना, सोने में सुहागा. So I did everything which was against the tide, everything which was against the tide, and so I was subject to even more scrutiny. But today I'm happy to say that many of the youngsters today are following dual careers, and it's not as hostile an environment in both both the worlds as it was during my time. finally what happens is how you conduct yourself, how whether if you're sincere in what you do, and if you do it well, then the same adverse situation becomes absolutely great for you. So then people start respecting you, and so then later on it takes a long time, but then you earn the deep-seated respect and admiration of all sections of society.
We're going in for a short break and we'll be back in a few moments.